So, of course, one of the basic questions of life is, how do we know that we exist? How do we differ from other things that exist, right? And Kierkegaard differentiates very clearly between those things, right? He says that there is a clear distinction between us and between plants and between animals, even higher animals, right? That for us, our idea of existence is based on the idea of choice. And not just choice, but decisive choice and sticking with the decisions that we make. That's very important. We probably all can understand that when you look at a plant, that plants do have life in them, right? And produce vegetables, or produce flowers, or produce leaves, uh, um, but that they do not necessarily choose how they work, right? A tree doesn't decide, I'm going to put fruit here and then here and then here and then here. It's sort of pre-programmed, right? The DNA, the stuff of life, right, gives them a blueprint, and they follow that blueprint pretty exactly, right? Animals, a little more complicated, right? We think about some animals where it is fairly apparent that there aren't many choices being made, right? That this is instinctual, right? A lot of animals, for example, prey animals in general, are programmed to be wary, to be ready for attack, and to be, again, mindful to reproduce and to eat, right? Staying alive, reproducing, and not being killed, the three things that they're most concerned about. Not necessarily, where am I going today? What path am I taking, right? This would be more like a Hegelian, right? Like a Hegel talking about, what existence would be like, right? That, these animals have predetermined paths and they are going to just follow them, right? When it comes to higher animals, we have seen, right, evidence that some animals create tools, make choices, decide that they're going to do things. But in general, there is not the same level, right? It's hard to distinguish, it's hard to differentiate between at times, but for Kierkegaard, that is the thing that makes a big difference, right? For us, we go through, basically the way that we exist, right? We know that we basically have to decide. First of all, we strive, right? Which basically means that we think about, right, what it is that we want, right? Do we want to do something? And then we decide that we are probably going to do this, right? We have to do this, but we have to choose the thing that we're going to do, right? So we strive, we have a desire, we meet that desire by looking at the choices and the options that are available for us. We decide, right, what we're going to do. We choose, right, to do that thing, and then we commit to that action, probably in the long term, right? Now, does every single action that we take, follow this pattern? For the most part, it really does, right? That we decide, we have a desire, we have to make a choice between different options that are presented to us. We choose that option, right, and decide for it. You take it, and then we commit to that action, right? So that idea of deciding and committing is really important. For Kierkegaard, that also is the thing that makes us responsible. For Sartre as well, when we see him in a couple weeks, that will also be, right, an essential part of existential thought and existential philosophy, is that the decision, the committing to that decision, makes us responsible for it. And that means we cannot simply say, right, that this was somebody else's choice, this was somebody else's action. We did it. We committed to it. We made that decision, right? This can lead to despair in both Kierkegaard's and Sartre's positions, right? Despair is a necessary part of this, right? That we make a decision and then we think, did we make the right decision? Did I do the right thing? And we fret and we worry about that, right? Because we instinctively know that we have chosen something, that we have decided something, that we are responsible for it. Existentialism really places that responsibility before us in a big, big way. And it's important to know that this is where the big separation is going to occur, right? For Kierkegaard, it's going to be, right, that once we make those decisions, if we've made a mistake, we decide to ask for forgiveness and we have a God that we are responsible to. For Sartre, we have ourselves. And we are the ones responsible for ourselves. So, in the next little section, before we go on, right, to talking about the stages of life, let's talk about really what it's going to mean to be, responsible, and how that's going to work, right? We need to talk about what that's going to mean, and why that's so important. So, back in a little bit.